And I'll pin everything down for you. Coming up.
David, thank you. Tonight at 6, building on fire. Firefighters spent most of the day battling a massive fire in downtown Jackson. 16 WAPT's Mike Perchik is live on Adele Street where that fire broke out. Mike?
Yeah, Ryan, that's right. If you take a look behind me, firefighters looking into what sparked that blaze, using a ladder to get to the second floor. That's where they believe it started. Now, it broke out just after 1:30 this afternoon on the corner of Adele and West Street. Neighbors tell us they saw flames shooting out of the second floor before spreading to the rest of the building. They say this is a vacant building, but they have seen squatters and vagrants use the home in the past. One man said he could feel the heat all the way from across the street.
Pretty intense. Like, I've never been that close to a fire that big. There's a lot of heat, generating off the fire.
Yeah, and what makes this fire even scarier, it happened right next to a daycare center. Now, luckily, nobody was hurt. AMR tells us they didn't treat anybody. Of course, a fire of this magnitude attracting a big crowd. A local store owner who didn't want to go on camera, even bringing out buckets of cold drinks for the firefighters to help them cool off. And just to give you kind of a sense of how strong it was, the building right there, all the way across the street, this dumpster completely burned to a crisp. As you see, burn marks throughout on the top, on the side. So a very strong fire. Now, we spoke to firefighters just a few minutes ago. They tell us they don't know what yet sparked that blaze. When we find out, we'll make sure to let you know. Live in downtown Jackson, Mike Perchik, 16 WAPT News.
Hey, Mike, thank you. Again, that fire broke out around 2 this afternoon on Adele Street. That's just off Northwest Street near the greater Belhaven area. This weekend, the Reservoir Police are looking for boaters who break the law. 16 WAPT's Bert Case reports they'll have extra boats out to enforce the law.
There were a few people out enjoying the big lake on this Friday before Memorial Day, but it was quite cool, and there was a pretty good wind from the northwest. Chief Perry Wagner of the Reservoir Patrol warned there will be extra law enforcement during the Memorial Day holiday weekend.
We're going to have extra patrols on the water and in our parks. Of course, this is the traditional start of boating season. Here at the Reservoir, we have Pepsi Pops to get us started first, but we're going to have extra boats, as will Wildlife Fisheries and Parks. We work closely with them this time of year.
Wagner gave the usual warnings about having proper safety equipment on boats and making sure they are in good working order before venturing out. We found Joe Welch of Brandon and his family launching their pontoon boat at Highway 43 in Rankin County. Welch told us he planned to be extra careful this year.
This recent incident on Robin Hood Lake, those jet skis, that concerns me a little bit, and you see that out here, and just hopefully we'll have a safe Memorial weekend, and people will think about that.
The much cooler weather for this Memorial Day weekend has obviously cut into the number of people who are out the Friday before Memorial Day, but it's still expected to be a great weekend on the Barnett Reservoir. Don't forget, a life preserver for every person on board your boat. Bert Case, 16 WAPT News at the Reservoir.
And the waterways are not the only places getting extra attention this weekend. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams explains what Jackson police are doing to keep you safe.
Police officers tracking motorist speed on Medgar Evers Boulevard. This is where the police department's mobile command post will be deployed this Memorial Day weekend. It's pretty close to Sunset Drive, the scene of the city's latest deadly violence. A man gunned down at Sunset Plaza Apartments, apparently in retaliation for the murder of Eric Simmons. He was killed 10 days ago while working on a car in his driveway.
He's a good guy, real good guy.
The violence stemming from a dispute over a car repair.
When you have somebody to get shot and killed over a car repair, it lets you know that you've got a long way to go as a community.
In the upscale Eastover neighborhood on Saturday, a kidnapped homeowner shot and killed a man who took him hostage. And Sunday, someone shot and wounded a Jackson police officer near a troubled gas station. That incident prompted police to deploy the mobile command post near Northside Drive.
We believe that high visibility is a factor in deterring crime, period, and especially violent crime. So those are our plans going into the weekend. We just want a peaceful weekend.
Police also urging anyone who's hosting holiday parties to monitor their patrons and remember they're responsible for limiting alcohol use to prevent violence. In Jackson, Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
And the Highway Patrol just began its holiday weekend crackdown. MHP says there have been 5 fatal accidents in different parts of the state just this week alone. And troopers are urging people to buckle up, no texting or drinking and driving. The enforcement period started at 6 p.m. and ends Monday at midnight. That woman, or the sound that you should have heard is of a woman describing a car crash that she heard. Now, it happened on High Street. Crews had to use the jaws of life to pull one driver out of a Land Cruiser. You can see a tow truck loading up one of the vehicles damaged pretty badly. A driver told us 2 cars flipped in the crash. No word on any injuries. And health leaders lifted the boil water alert for Copiah County after they found traces of E. coli in the drinking water. That alert affected about 2,500 people who get their water from the Copiah Water Association. But there's still a boil water alert for Franklin County water system after they found traces of E. coli. That notice affects more than 1,700 people. And a boil water alert in Claiborne County for people who get their water from the town of Port Gibson. 2 Southern Miss football players are facing charges of kidnapping. Hattiesburg police arrested James Cock and Kyle Foster Wednesday. Officials say the incident happened in the 900 block of Beverly Hills Road. Both men were booked into the Forest County Jail. They're also charged with armed robbery and burglary of an occupied dwelling. Power lines electrocuted a Mississippi man working in an elevated work truck yesterday. It happened in Ascension Parish on Louisiana Highway 73. Deputies say 38-year-old Courtney Jones of Yazoo came into contact with overhead power lines. Officials say he was 30 feet in the air in a bucket truck with cable when he touched the live wire. Some people in the metro are upset that a healthcare complex is shutting down. 16 WAPT's Allie Ware finds out why members are so concerned.
Courthouse Fitness in Byram announced this week their doors will be closing by July 1st.
If they close it down, I'll have to drive away over to Lakeland Drive, and that's a big deal for me. I don't want to travel all that far.
We called the center's director, who said we were not allowed to bring cameras inside the facility and that all staff and members had gotten notice of the closure and what opportunities they could take advantage of moving forward.
And what they should have done, in my opinion, is that they should have at least put up some flyers or something.
Members we spoke to say the first they heard of the closing is with this note that began being handed out on Thursday.
Losing another big asset of the area it's devastating.
The letter says the complex is transitioning to new ownership, but does not state who the new owner will be, and the center's director would not give any additional information.
It's the only thing Byram has for the seniors, really. We don't have a community center or anything.
Closing also means the kids in child care and summer programs will have to find somewhere else to go.
I feel disappointed because I always used to go there for the summer.
In all, the town of Byram will lose a community pool, racquetball center, gym, and child programs, and several people will be out of a job. The center's director says all memberships at Courthouse Fitness will be honored at their 5 other locations. In Byram, Allie Ware, 16 WAPT News.
And as Allie just mentioned, members have the option to enroll in one of their 5 other locations and will get a discounted rate. Well, this weekend, people will begin to pay their last respects to blues legend B.B. King. Today's ceremony begins a week-long series of memorials for King. A musical tribute in Vegas is planned for tonight, and a procession next Wednesday will mark the King of the Blues' return to Beale Street in Memphis. King will be buried in Indianola next Saturday. Well, Amtrak will soon be making a stop in the Delta. Officials reached their final decision after talks with Amtrak. Senator Roger Wicker says rail service in the Delta will boost tourism, and it will provide a new means of transportation for thousands of people. The region has been without a service like this for 20 years or so. Right now, there is no opening date for the new stop. A water alert tonight. Jackson City leaders say if you live in the 1200 to 1400 block of Raymond Road, parts of Flowers Drive and Bristol Boulevard, boil your water. This notice affects just over 200 connections. Head over to our website for a full list of areas affected. And free video games, why this gaming trailer is making its way through the city.
Well, excuse me, marvelous May weather. It is looking good out there. But off to the west, the weather pattern remains active. Find out when showers return coming up. You're watching 16 WAPT News.